Welcome to the OK Not OK podcast. I am Dr. OK and I'm back from a day off. It is a Christmas miracle that I am feeling a little bit better. So reluctantly, I will say thank you to the SportsZu for filling in yesterday for the Dr. OK show. But with that, let's hear from the SportsZu right now with the OK question of the week. Doc, I hope you're feeling better today. So I will give you an easy one in the holiday spirit. So who do you think is going to win each possible matchup in the Women's Intercontinental title tournament all the way through to the finals? SportsZu, I am feeling a lot better today, except when I saw your grades from Rob, those were not very good. But I guess I'll give you a pass for filling in on short notice. And to answer your question, I'll start with my own question. Isn't this what you do on your betting podcast? I am not the prediction man here, but I guess I'll give it a shot since you were so gracious to fill in yesterday. So let's start with the semifinal matchups. First, we have Dakota Kai taking on Zoe Stark. So Dakota just got her first singles win of the year a couple weeks ago in her triple threat match in the first round. So that takes her to 1-6 in all singles matches. And that means she's 1-1 in multi-person singles matches, which even worse means she's still winless at 0-5 in one-on-one matches. And in fact, her last one-on-one victory was all the way back in October of 2022 against Candice LeRae. So it's safe to say that we can't expect too much out of her in this one. But she did get a practice in against your women's champion Liv Morgan a couple weeks ago, and she mostly held her own in that match, but of course she did fall in the end. So let's talk about Zoe. She's certainly had a much better year in singles competition at 4-8 with identical records of 2-4 in one-on-one matches and in multi-person singles matches. And in fact, her other multi-person singles match victory was against Ivy Nile and Dakota Kai, so she already has some experience in defeating her this year. And on top of that, Zoe even has 2 tag wins against Dakota in April and in May, so we have to go with Zoe Stark to win the first semifinal. And in the second semifinal, we had a surprise winner when Iyo Sky filled in for the injured Kairi Sane after the PFC had injured her 2 Monday Night Raws ago. So she came out ahead in that triple threat match, so she will take on Lyra Valkyria. And it's safe to say that these two have had a lot more success in one-on-one matches than the other 2 semifinalists, so we expect a pretty good matchup here. And they both have wins against each other this year, as Lyra in her rookie season is at 5-4 in one-on-one matches and 7-6 in singles matches. Now, she actually won her first match against Iyo in the Queen of the Ring semifinals, so she has good winning experience against Iyo in a tournament setting. So maybe that will help propel her through to have that clutch gene going when it matters the most. Now, Iyo, on the other hand, she has by far the best one-on-one record at 7-3 and is 10-4 in singles matches. And she even has a championship this year as she walked into WrestleMania as the WWE Women's Champion. Now, she did lose that first matchup to Lyra back in May. However, she got her revenge on her just 3 weeks later, defeating her on Monday Night Raw. And just a month later, she beat Lyra again in a 6-woman tag as the 3 members of Damage Control defeated Lyra, Carter, and Chance. And then most recently, just at the beginning of November, Iyo became the #1 contender that she just lost to Liv at on Saturday night's main event, but she won a women's battle royal and outlasted Lyra after a really good battle on the apron. So she has the most recent success against Lyra, so we have to take Iyo to win. So that takes me to my projected finals matchup, where I'm gonna say it's Zoe Stark against Iyo Sky, and these two have actually not battled against each other one-on-one this year, though of course they have faced off against each other in tag matches, and they have seen each other in the Money in the Bank ladder match and in Battle Royals, so they are certainly familiar foes. And speaking of those tag matches, Iyo has actually won 3 of the 4 matchups between Damage Control and the PFC, but in that 4th matchup, neither of them won, as the Unholy Union were actually victorious in that one. But surely in a finals matchup, the PFC will be standing by and ready to go to do whatever it takes to get Zoe that championship. So Damage Control better also be on guard, or else it just might be a tough finals for them. That said, Iyo is just way too good in singles matchups to go against her here. She is my inaugural Women's IC Champion. But just in case, and just to answer the SportsZu's question, I'll give you some quick predictions for the other potential matchups. So first, if we have Zoe advancing to the finals, but she faces Lyra instead, those two already had 2 one-on-one matchups this year, and well, we can't say too much about it because they both won one of them, with Lyra winning in May and Zoe winning in September. So with Zoe in this matchup, you have to think that Sonya and Shayna will be on hand, but we just can't predict that with any certainty. So Lyra's just had the much better singles career so far, so she's our pick to win that finals. Now, if I get Iyo right, but Dakota beats Zoe, then we have a very awkward all Damage Control finals for that first Women's IC title. And these two have always been together on the main roster as founding members of Damage Control, so of course, they have not faced off against each other. Now, if we go way back in the old time machine, we did see Iyo defeated Dakota one time for the NXT Women's Championship at TakeOver 30 in August of 2020. So that's really all we can go by there in their history. But of course, when it comes to this, Iyo's just been way better in singles action and is a former champion both in NXT and on the main roster, so we have to go with Iyo here. There's no reason to pick Dakota. Now, in the least likely scenario, which has about the same probability as anyone getting hit with lightning, because I'm never wrong, that would have the possibility of Dakota going up against Lyra in the finals. So we did see Lyra defeat Dakota back in May, so she certainly has that advantage. But we have to remember that Lyra already lost in the finals of the Queen in the Ring, so maybe the pressure just gets too much for her, or maybe it's just safe to say that Nia Jax is really tough to beat. And certainly no one is confusing Nia Jax with Dakota Kai. So yeah, I think this is a Nightwing for the win, and that means Lyra would be your champion in this scenario. So if you look at it, I picked whoever wins out of the right side of the bracket in the semifinals to go on to win the championship. So I think it's safe to say that that is the matchup that we need to look out for. And if you want to be on my right side, go right on over here to check that out, because if you don't, that would be not okay.